I just smack myself in the... This is a theme of mine. I get excited and like talk with my hands and hit myself in the face with a fucking book. Hello internet, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kaylee, and on my channel I like to talk about horror books, spooky books, and books that go bump in the night. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I had a big ass haul of books. Yep. I bought a lot of books this month. I bought 34 books this month. That's way more than I bought in a long time. And that's just physical books. That's not counting the Kindle Unlimited books, which we'll get to another day. But in this video, I was really excited because not only did I get a ton of horror that I've been excited about, I got several fantasy books that I'm excited to dive into. And I can't wait. I think this month is going to be a fun month of reading for me and a more diverse month of reading for me. And if you check out my video, of my November plans, you'll see that I've incorporated some of these books into my November reading. So without further ado, let's get started. This is over 30 books. It's gonna be a little bit of a lengthy video, so we might as well just jump right in. Up first are 5 of the classic Goosebumps books. These are all from the 90s. I ordered them from a vintage seller on Etsy. I have Night of the Living Dummy, Slappy, iconic. I have Welcome to the Dead House. Oh, the artwork on the Goosebumps books, unmatched. I have Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. I got Say Cheese and Die, and How I Got My Shrunken Head. This is one of my favorite color combinations. I absolutely love it. And I think all of those only cost me a total of $30. So I don't think that's bad at all. Up next, I got Hell House by Richard Matheson. First of all, can we talk about one of my major book icks? Why do we need to put stickers on the front cover of books? Put it on the back cover. This gives me the ultimate fucking book ick. I hate it. They're so hard to peel off. Anyway, this is a classic haunted house story with ghosts and legends, and I am just so excited to read this one. This one is from the 80s, I believe. '71. So from the 70s. So I like classic horror. Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorite classic horror books. So I'm really excited about this one. Next we have When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. This book is about 2 friends who have grown distance over the years. One of them is black, one of them is white, and the white friend is getting married on a plantation that has caused some trauma for her black friend when they were younger, and she doesn't realize the implications or understand why her friend would be upset that they are having a wedding on a plantation. So this book is about her returning home to her friend's wedding and all of the past enslaved people coming back to seek their revenge. I love a good revenge story. I live in Louisiana, a place that is famous for plantations, and the amount of people who try to have plantation weddings and things like that is vile to me. So I can imagine this is going to have a lot of commentary on racism and past and present, and I just love a good revenge plot. I'm very excited about this one. Then we have this very interesting book. First of all, the cover art, stunning. It's called Goth by Atsushi. I hope I'm saying that right. But this is about a girl who is obsessed with true crime and serial killers. More so to the point, like, she wants to know what gets into these men's minds. She wants to investigate them herself and wants to understand them, but in a very creepy way. She doesn't really care about the victims. She only cares about getting into the mind of the killers. Japanese horror is some of my favorite horror. It is so immersive and just so thought-provoking. I always enjoy reading Japanese horror, so I'm very, very excited about this one. Up next, I picked up 2 books from author Adam Sassari. I believe that's how you say his last name. He's very active on Instagram, and I follow him. He is very kind. His first book that I picked up is Clown in a Cornfield, and this one is a classic slasher set up with teens, and I believe it is getting a movie. But it is about a small town called Kettle Springs where they have this very strange mascot who's a clown, and one night he starts plucking off the kids slasher style. I'm told it's very reminiscent of Scream but with a clown, so I am very excited about that because Scream is one of my all-time favorite slashers, and I've heard nothing but pretty decent or great reviews about this book, so I'm very excited to jump into this one. And then the other one I got from him is a little less well known, I believe, because I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, but this is one of my favorite types of horror, and it's nostalgic 80s horror with kids. Stranger Things, The Lost Boys, Goonies. I know that a ton of people are sick and fucking tired of the 80s nostalgia, but I'm not one of them. One of them is not me. I was born in 86. I love 80s nostalgia TV. I love 80s horror movies. I love reading about 80s inspired shit. It's one of my favorite things. So this book sounds right up my alley. This is about two kids who are friends, and it is their senior year in high school, and they know that at the end of the year they're going to go their separate ways, and they're probably not going to be as close as they are. So they decide to have one more video night where they hang out, watch movies, and they invite girls over to have pizza. Well, on this night, there happens to be an alien invasion happening in their town, and they have to save their town. I know it sounds cheesy. I know it's a little sci-fi horror. I don't know why there's like a werewolf hand. It just looks like a werewolf, but I don't think it is. It's just hairy and scaly. First of all, this cover also. It's just everything I want and need. It sounds like it's going to be great. I can't wait to read this one. Super excited. And then I have The Long Shadows of October by Christopher Triana. I read Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana last month, and it is one of my new all-time favorite books. It was extremely disturbing, extremely fucked up, but I absolutely really love Christopher Triana's writing, and I was excited to pick up more from him. So I have a Kindle Unlimited book that I downloaded from him, and then I picked up this one. Cover, again, stunning. And this book is about a succubus witch. And the succubus witch is trying to devour all of these kids who happen to be looking over this, it's called Snowden Manor. So they're house sitting this house, as you do, and there's a succubi in there. Very exciting. I'm excited to just read something about like witches from him, because of how well I just smacked myself in the... This is a theme of mine. I get excited and like talk with my hands and hit myself in the face with a fucking book. Starting over. Anyway, I'm excited to read about the way he writes witches because I enjoyed the way he wrote a serial killer. So, Christopher Triana, Long Shadows of October. Mucho excited. Up next we have Now You're One of Us by Asia Nanami, and this is about a character named Noriko, and Noriko is just married and she is moving into a house with her husband where her husband's entire family lives. So it's her husband, and his entire family, mom, dad, brothers, grandmother, that kind of thing. And she thinks that something is off about this family. She can't quite put her finger on it, but she's feeling more and more uncomfortable every day. And slowly things start to unravel in this family, and she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So, I haven't read much more than that. I kind of want to go in a little bit blind, but I've heard really good things about this one. And again, Japanese horror never lets me down. One more for the Japanese horror category is Confessions by Kane Minato. I think I'm butchering that name. I'm so sorry. Kane Minato, I think is how you say it. But Confessions is about a teacher who has a young daughter, and she finds out that one of her students has murdered her young daughter. And she decides, I'm not playing with y'all. In fact, I'm going to find out who did this if it's the last thing I do. And it might be the last thing I do because I'm going to murder all of you children until you tell me who did it. What? So Miss Ma'am decides to lock all these kids in her classroom, and she's like, So we have a bit of a mystery on our hands. Whodunit? Mystery horror, can't wait. I predict this will be a 5-star read for me because I love Japanese horror. I love a good little mystery. I love a revenge. Gonna get you, especially against little children who are bad. I love it. Can't wait. Up next is a book that I had actually never heard of before, but it looked hilarious, and it's called Hell by Robert Olin Butler. And it says this book won a Pulitzer Prize, which is can't wait. And basically it is about this man who is sent to hell and he's trying to acclimate living in hell, but it's not exactly what he thought it would be. He's trying to explain to everyone in hell that he should not be there, and everybody's like, right. And on his journey to try and get out of hell, he finds out a secret to the underworld that helps propel him forward. So I think there's just a lot of social commentary in here on good and evil, right and wrong. There's a cast of characters that we all know from people like Richard Nixon, Sarah Palin, Virgil, Anne Boleyn, Dante. Like, there's a lot in here. Culturally, a lot of pop culture references. So I think this will just be a really fun, quick read for me. I'm excited about this one. Plus, again, this cover art is just divine. A book that I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little hesitant to read because it deals in addiction. And as someone who is in recovery, books about addiction often hit me very deeply. But I think it's important to read them. And I like when I can explore things like that through the lens of horror. And this book is called The 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess. And in this book, we're following our main character, Sydney, who has had a past with drugs and alcohol, and she's on a better path. And one night while she is at home, there is an intruder who enters her house. And somehow, some way, the intruder is killed, and she doesn't remember. But the things she does remember that she tells to the police don't match up with the details of the scene. So we are going through as she remembers parts of that night and explores her past. Is she just unraveling from addiction? Is it something more sinister? That's what this book looks to answer. And overall, the reviews on this book were very mid. They were 3.5 stars. So I am interested to see why it falls short for people. But for me personally, usually books that deal in addiction and recovery are reads that I typically enjoy. So I am hesitant, but also excited. Up next is a book that I'm going to be going in pretty blind to. It's called The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher is getting a lot of recognition lately. She just put out What Moves the Dead, which is a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher, which I have not gotten to yet, but I want to because I do enjoy the story of the fall of the House of Usher, so I'm sure I will enjoy that. I have read her book, The Twisted Ones, and I really liked that one. So this is one of her newer ones, and from what I know of it, it is a woman who is helping her uncle in an oddity shop he owns, and while cleaning one day, she finds a passage to some other reality, I think is the gist of it. But like I said, I'm going in kind of blind to this one, so this is one we're going to learn about together. But again, another beautiful cover, and I do like T. Kingfisher's writing, so I'm sure I will find some enjoyment in this one. Up next is The House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. This is a coming-of-age horror. It is about these two teenagers who go on a first date, and while on that date, they find a house at the bottom of a lake. And they become so enamored with it that they're spending all their free time trying to explore this house. And they are staying down there longer and longer. That's pretty much all I know going into this book, but I like Josh Malerman, and I really love coming-of-age stories, especially, again, through the lens of horror. So, very excited about this one. Up next is a book that I have in my November TBR because I want to read Indigenous horror for the month of November. So that is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And this one is about 4 Indigenous men who did something bad when they were younger, and now that they are older, that thing is coming back to haunt them. This one sounds very interesting to me. Stephen Graham Jones is a very hit or miss for me. I liked My Heart is a Chainsaw. I did not like Night of the Mannequin, so this will be my next novel from him. But I am excited to read it. I do like his writing style quite often. So up next is a book I'm also nervous to read because it is very far out of the genre that I enjoy. It is a fantasy romance, and I do not like romance, but I'm trying to go in with an open mind because I want to expand the things that I'm reading, and sometimes you could use a little love in your life, you know? But that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and this is about a circus that only opens at night, but all the performers actually have magical abilities, and 2 of these performers have been raised since they were younger to compete in this competition. But that's all I know about it. I haven't dug too deep into it because I kind of want to be surprised, but a lot of people say this is their favorite book of all time. So I am going in with an open mind, and it does sound fun and like a read that I might enjoy. Final paperback that I hauled this month is the second novel from an author who I absolutely adore, whose debut novel is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. It's like definitely top 10. And that is The Shadows by Alex North. Alex North wrote The Whisper Man, which is an incredible thriller, which I highly recommend if you have not read it. It is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. But this is his follow-up book, The Shadows. And in this book, we're following someone who... There was a murder in his town when they were younger by a kid that he knew, and 25 years later, it seems that those murders are starting up again with copycat killers. But the strange thing is that they never found the boy who did this. He was never seen again. So we're following, I think, dual timelines, which I really enjoy. And this is just an author for me that writing style is so good, and his first book was so good. How could I be disappointed? But I feel like going into it with that high of an expectation will let me down, especially because some reviews say it is not as good as The Whisper Man, but I think I'm going to enjoy it regardless because of how much I enjoyed his first novel. And like I said, if you have not read The Whisper Man yet, I absolutely recommend it, especially on audiobook. We made it through all the paperbacks. How exciting. Let's start with the hardcovers. I got a lot of hardcovers this month that I've been looking for that I found out in the wild. I didn't have to order them, and that made me so excited because one thing about me is I am an instant gratification type of bitch. I want to go and get it and put it in my hands. I don't want to wait days, and I got to get over that, but that is a thing about me. So to find all these out in the wild was very exciting for me. So up first is Across the Green Grass Fields by Shauna McGuire, and Shauna McGuire has a series that I am very excited to start called the Wayward Children series. And this is the standalone in that series. So I wanted to start with this one just to get the feel for her world building. Up next is Ring Shout by P.J. Jelly Clark. I will be reading this book along with 4 others for Novella November. But this book is a creature feature following a group of monster hunters who are hunting the literal KKK. The KKK in this book has turned so evil that they have turned into actual monsters, and we are following a group of people who are fighting and hunting them. That just sounds incredible to me. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk of racism and social comment on racism and racist-like individuals in the KKK, so I'm very excited to read this one. Then we have one that I bought strictly because of the cover art, and that is The Monster of Eldenhaven by Jennifer Geisbrecht. And basically what I read from the back is this is about a entity that exists who stalks and kills people in this English town, but he is under the direction of someone else. So that sounds very exciting to me. It's a very small novella. I don't want to give too much away or learn too much about it because it's very short, but that one will also be part of Novella November. Next is another fantasy romance. Who is she? Is she a fantasy girly now? I don't know. This one I'm excited about though because it's a sapphic romance and chef's kiss. But this one just sounds like a lot of fun. It's a detective story and it's called Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. And this is a detective story about a woman who gave up her soul to the devil in order to save her brother. And she is going to spend an eternity in hell, but she gets one last job offer before she's sent to hell, and she says she doesn't want to do it. And the person offering her the job says, if you do it and you succeed, you will have the chance to live out your life with the woman that you love. So obviously she takes on the challenge. What? Yes, so excited about this. I don't want to get too much more into that because, again, it will also be part of the November novella vlog. This just sounds like so much fun, and I cannot wait to read it. Up next, we're going back into horror, and this seems like more folk horror, but this is called Lutte, I think is how it's pronounced, and this is by Jennifer Thorne. And this book is about a town called Lutte, where, I think that's how it's pronounced, or Lutte, but in this town, all around them, there's war, there's famine, there's a bunch of horrible things going on, but they remain untouched. And they believe it's because every 7 years they sacrifice young girls. That's pretty much all I read about it. That's all I want to know about it going in. Like I said, it gives me very much, I think we're going to have cult vibes. I think we're going to have Midsommar, Wicker Man type vibes. Why are they sacrificing people? Does it matter? Is there something else we're not finding? I can't wait. Plus, the cover art, stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Or another book that has been so popular in the last few months is Slewfoot by Brom. And Slewfoot follows a young girl named Abatha who is bullied in her town because people think that she's a witch. And she comes in contact with an entity who helps her enact revenge. I love Brom. He is an incredible illustrator. His book, The Child Thief, is one of my favorite books of all time. It is a Peter Pan retelling. I highly recommend it. But this book is just absolutely beautiful, again, with the incredible cover art. And I just love a spooky, scary witch story. And I think that this one just sets the tone for a very eerie, fun, rainy night read. And I'm very excited about this one. My next book is another fantasy novel, but it is YA fantasy. And I actually have very good experiences with YA fantasy. My favorite book of all time is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, which is part of the Six of Crows duology. So I have no doubt that I will get really excited about reading YA fantasy, but this is a new one, and it is called The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. And first of all, cover, gorgeous. Love these colors. But this one is about a town called Hemlock Falls. And we are following a young girl whose father was ostracized from this community, and she is trying to get the honor of her family back by fighting back. I didn't read too much more into it because I want to go in kind of blind, but it's about some found friends, unlikely friendships coming together to save a family. So I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. I have a vlog planned for this one as well, coming either this month or next month, so stay tuned for that. Next book I picked up is Sundial by Catriona Ward. Obviously, stunning cover. Look at this beautiful neon. It's giving very Lisa Frank in the desert. But Catriona Ward wrote the book The Last House on Needless Street, which is a very polarizing book. You either love it or you hate it. I fall on the side who really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a great book. So I'm excited to read her next one. And this is about a woman and her daughter who have a not great relationship, and they go back to her hometown where her and her own mother have a not great relationship. And basically, I think we're following the story of like some spooky happenings now that she's back in her hometown, and obviously discussions of like generational trauma and breaking those cycles. So just what I need to read about. The next book will be a part of my November reading vlogs, and that will be the vlog where I am reading Indigenous horror. And this is called White Horse by Erica T. Worth, and she is an Indigenous author. First of all, this cover gives me life. I am living, laughing, loving over this cover. It reminds me a lot of Marla from Fight Club. Just a beautiful, stunning cover. But it's about a woman named Carrie who is estranged from her family and does not identify with her indigenous past. And one day she is gifted a bracelet that belonged to her mother, and all of a sudden she starts to see the ghost of her mother. And now she is faced with things from her past that she has tried to leave behind. And I believe this is her debut novel, so I am very, very excited to read this one. Again, discussions of cultural identity and obviously ghosts. I just love ghost stories and indigenous horror because of the creatures. So I can't wait to see what kind of ghosts and ghouls we get in this while we follow this journey of this woman trying to rediscover herself. Very exciting. Next hardcover is a book that I am doing a vlog on in November, and it's probably my most anticipated vlog. It's the one I'm most excited to film, and that is the vlog of reading Almost There by Farah Rashan, and this is part of the Twisted Tales Disney series, and this is the retelling of The Princess and the Frog. I live in New Orleans. I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and Princess and the Frog is my favorite Disney movie. So I will be doing a reading vlog where I take you guys all over New Orleans while I read this book. I am very excited about that. I hope you guys will join me for that, but look at this cover. We're gonna have a good time with this one. My next book is called The Gathering Dark, and this is a YA horror, and this is an anthology series. So this is just a bunch of short stories from famous YA authors, and I just love the cover art of this. And I love short story collections. Even if they're not all great, I tend to typically always vibe with short stories. And I really like YA short stories because they're not graphic or super violent, but they do give you a good creep factor. So I think this one will be a lot of fun. And last but not least, the final book of my haul is Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. Honestly, I bought this one for the cover. I have no idea what it's about other than a woman can take pills and see and talk to the dead. I wanted to go in kind of blind to this one because I strictly bought it off of the cover art. So I want to go in not really knowing too much about it and not what to expect. So this one I am excited to get to. I like that idea of being able to talk to the dead and using a pill to do it. And that is it, my friends. We have come to the end of the video. We have talked about 30 plus books that I picked up in the month of October, and I am very excited to bring some of these to you this month in a few vlogs and during Christmas time. So I hope that you enjoyed this haul. I hope that you will put some on your TBR and read along with me with some of them. Let me know any books you picked up this month that you are excited to read. If you like and subscribe or give me a thumbs up, it really helps me in the algorithm. And if you're interested in any of my other videos, I will link those down below. And I hope that you'll come back and see me. I have a lot of fun planned this month with several reading vlogs. So it's going to be an exciting fall season, and I can't wait. It was wonderful to see you again, and I will see you in the next video.